This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. Let's talk about OTAs, and let's not talk about the nonsensical stuff about who's not there and all of these hypothetical debates about whether your win-loss record is going to be affected because one or two dudes didn't show up to a voluntary workout. Let's actually talk about the workouts and who has been making a good name for themselves and who might be, improving their stock because of how well they are playing in the OTA periods. Now, again, OTA success is to be taken with a grain of salt for a number of reasons, right? One of the reasons is it's not actually football, right? Like it's close to football, but it's not actually football. There's not a physical element. You're not under a pass rush. And some guys who look good during OTAs look good because of how things are being practiced, not necessarily because it's a true representation of what you would see on Sunday. Now, some of you guys might understand what I'm talking about. Some of y'all might not. Let's look at some clips during OTAs, and I'll tell you how you can tell like when it's kind of a legitimate rep and when they're working on something and something happened because it was supposed to. So these are two clips. Marquise Goodwin, who's been looking great in OTAs, and he's usually the type of player that looks great in OTAs because he is fast. Like I had Tyvis Powell on here, and he said two fastest dudes I've ever seen in my life, Tyreek Hill and Marquise Goodwin. Yeah, he's that fast. So he's going to run by some guys here. Now, this play is Deshaun throwing him the ball. He beats A.J. Green, and that's a legitimate beat, right? Because they're in a coverage to try to stop this. Now, they're also, I don't know if A.J. Green, where did A.J. Green line up? Was he playing safety? It's kind of hard to tell here. No, he was on the line. They had, DeAnthony Bell out there. So they were in a 1 or 2 high look. A.J. Green is carrying. And yeah, Marquise Goodwin is so fast that he just splits the coverage and breaks it. Now, we also have to evaluate if this is a catch. And this is because I am me. I'm going to do this. Let's see if this was a catch. Okay, so it bobbles here. So that foot doesn't count. That foot doesn't count. That bobbles. It's out of his hand. Clearly, you can see out of his hand. When does he regain possession? You would say here. Now, the real question here, and I'm going to do my best, if you've been watching the XFL, my best Dean Blandino right here. Real question here is that foot down? Right? Like, because that's going to be the leg in question. He gets the other foot in if we carry this on. Yeah, that foot's clearly in and he has possession. The ball does not move during that period. The real question is, okay, is that split second? Is that foot down or is it slightly off the ground? Because you see it comes up and it never comes back in after that. So that hind leg there is what's important when it comes to getting this foot in bounds. And I would say he got it because I think you can see a little dirt kick up here. It would be a close review, but I think he has it, and I think it would be confirmed. So that is a touchdown, But what you want to see here is, okay, one, is Marquise Goodwin still fast enough to be able to break a double team? Even though this isn't necessarily against ones, you want to see that there. Two, will Deshaun Watson recognize that and throw an accurate ball? When somebody splits, like running so fast that they split a defense and then get it there on time and accurate. And that could have been a more accurate football, but the good thing with Marquise Goodwin is you want to give him that extra runway so he can make that catch instead of underthrow him. And he got his feet in. That's a touchdown. All right. Let's look at another play from OTAs here. And this is a situation where I'm not going to be critical on the defense here on what happens because this was designed to be this way. Now I'll play the play and then I'll tell you what I mean by that. Let me zoom it back out for y'all because I did zoom back in to see if the feet were inbounds. Let me zoom it back out so y'all can see just a little bit more of the play. By the way, shout out Matt Fontana and Hayden Grove for the video on Twitter. Give them a follow. All right. So you can see the Browns come out and they have Marquise in the SWAT in the slot. They have Elijah Moore at the X, and then at the Z, they have 87. I know 87 is somebody on this team, but that's who's out there. You can see this is a first team defense look because you can see JOK 51's out there. I think that's Jordan K now, right? 54 at the edge. I think that's Okoronkwo. And then you can see Martin Emerson, Juan Thornhill, Grant Delpit, and I believe Greg Newsome is lined up right there. And you're going to see this play a little fake end around. And it's a beautiful throw. And most people's first reaction, if you're an optimist, is, oh my God, that was a beautiful throw. It was. Look at that. Like, it's just amazing. Like, this isn't even like Deshaun Watson so special he made this throw. This is a more like, look how good you got to be at throwing footballs to play football in the NFL. Like, look at this. This is insane. Like, I couldn't throw the ball more than like 30 yards. To throw this ball like that. And like most NFL quarterbacks can make this throw. Most guys in college can make this throw. It's just like, yo, how do you get that good? But my amazement aside, and this is a beautiful look at it, so you could just see like how impressive this stuff is. Because like when we're watching on TV and we see the side angle, it's real easy to see everything. When you're watching from back here, you see how spaced out everything is and how difficult everything is to read out, especially these downfield reads. And just like, how do you place that accurately, given the lack of information that you have? And they just do it so routinely. It's crazy. So some of y'all saw that. It was like, oh man, Marquise Goodwin looking good. Deshaun Watson looking good. Some of y'all might have watched this and went, oh my God, Greg Newsome got cooked. And that does in fact happen, right? They shift over Elijah Moore. They fake the end around. The linebackers follow and bite. And then Greg Newsome gets caught in a bad situation here where there's no overtop safety. He's in a zone. So he now has to chase. And Grant Delpit bites. Right? This is on Delpit more than it's on Greg Newsome. Because you can see how Delpit's biting here. And let me try to highlight it. This is Delpit, y'all. This is this is what went wrong here. Delpit was a little bit more aggressive than he needed to be. And sometimes that happens, right? You just want to make a play. So again, you see the end around here. Everything kind of goes as planned. Defense shifts over properly. Linebacker shift over. You have the right guy cover that. That's fine. Nothing happens that breaks the defense there. Then you have Greg Newsome. He plays his coverage well, gets to his spot in his zone, and then he sinks, gets his hips outside. So inside, my bad. He's doing what he's supposed to do, right? He gets his hips inside, tries to tag him off to the safety, but the safety's not there. Grant Delpit's not there because, look, he commits to this crosser or this backside dig. And the second he commits, the second Deshaun sees them hips move forward, he makes the decision, boom, I'm going over top of his head. Nobody's there. Now, the reason I wouldn't panic about this when it comes to a defensive era in this way is because this is a situation where the defense was not designed to win this rep. And what I mean by that is they called a play specifically on offense and they called a play specifically on defense that they want to see if they're on offense because they believe that this can beat that look. So they purposely kind of set the defense up for failure to help the offense understand, hey, when you see this look, right, when we get a safety creeping towards the box because they want to show blitz and they want to go and switch to a single high look, this is what we want to have, and this is what we want you to watch. And what you want to watch here, if you're Deshaun Watson, is Grant Delpit, right? Because that's the guy that they're putting in conflict. So they're purposely putting Grant Delpit in a bad situation so the offense can know what to do when they have this play in the exact look that they want. So you get this play, you run the end around, and this is all about just singling up that strong safety, and you run that backside dig crosses across his zone to put him in conflict. So now he has to choose high or low. Do I think he's going to go crash low to Deshaun Watson, or do I think he's going to go up the field to Marquise Goodwin? You put him in conflict, and then you make the right decision once you put that player in conflict. This was a rep for the offense. The defense didn't look good because they weren't really designed to look good in that play, or at least in that rep. And this is something I think fans should have a better understanding of when it comes to OTAs. And I know I was supposed to do winners and losers of OTAs, and this ended up being more of a conversation about like having more literacy when it comes to talking about what happens in practice. But this is something I don't feel like a lot of local media does a good job of, and I don't think sports talk personalities do a good job of communicating. Sometimes in practice, they're practicing looks. The same way if you were playing Madden and you were a competitive Madden player, you would practice this play, the one of the 5 plays that you like to run against a specific look that you like to see, to make sure that you know every option you can go to whenever something goes wrong in that look to exploit it. That's the same way that they're going to practice for actual football. So what they're doing is, hey, defense, we want you to be in this look. If we thought that this was coming in an actual game, they would never have the defense in single high shell look because they know exactly what's coming here. But they want to put the offense in that situation where it's like, hey, we call this play and we get this look. This is what we're looking for, right? So different parts of the plays will also have different players that they're targeting to get into a conflict. And when I say conflict, you want to put 2 players near one person, and that one person has to make this decision. So in this play, it was Grant Delpit that they were going to get in conflict because of how this look shaked out. There was one high safety. Everybody was in the flat. Okay, Grant Delpit has to make the decision. Do you want to crash low and get rid of that first down look that's a little bit more sure and let that guy go over top of you? Do you want to play over top? Grant probably should have decided to check his backside and make sure that nobody takes that over top. Or maybe somebody just blew an assignment, right? Or maybe he thought Greg had him all the way, and Greg found out very quickly how fast Marquise Goodwin is, right? That might have been a, oh, dog, he's fast moment there for Greg Newsome. But so you want to put a guy in conflict here, right? Now, if this were a different look, let's say we get a look here with less guys in the box and they're running quarters, or they're running like cover 3 or something like that, then this end around might be what they're trying to put in conflict here, where they have this linebacker go that way, and then you're going to make the decision of, hey, do I go 43 or 87 right here? And you try to put 51 in conflict. Or if you get something on the other side, you can run that backside and then have Jerome Ford run that out right there and try to put 21 in conflict, right? Like, different looks are going to demand that different players are going to be in conflict. This is one of those situations where, yes, they're running a 7-on-7, but they're more or less running a drill for the offense and a drill for the defense, because it's good to know, hey, when the team got you, like, what should you do to mitigate damage? And that's something that Greg Newsome and Grant Delpit learned in that situation was, hey, the quarterbacks of the higher caliber, they're going to take that shot, right? Grant Delpit is used to going underneath here, and the reason he bit here was because he's used to playing mediocre quarterbacks in practice, at least, right? So mediocre quarterbacks, man, they're going to go for what's safe. They're going to throw that check down. They're going to throw that backside. They're not going to take that deep ball there, especially with Somebody, what is that, Martin Emerson, kind of carrying the deep third. They're not expecting that to happen. But he learned his lesson. The better quarterbacks in the league, and you play in a division with two other very good quarterbacks, are going to take that shot. That's what these clips should be evaluated for. Like, I feel like every time we see an offensive OTA clip, people panic. Oh, was it the offense that stunk or was it the defense that stunk? And the answer is maybe they're just working on something, right? Maybe the offense looked good because they caught something. They put a look out there that they wanted to see, and they just want to make sure that we can execute when we get the looks that we want. And defensively, sometimes they're going to look bad because it's like, hey, we're going to put the defense out of position to make sure that even if we have our best players out there and we're caught in this situation, is it still beat? Right? You got to figure out, is your cover one beater actually a cover one beater? Is your cover two beater actually a cover two beater? Is your cover three beater actually a cover three beater? This is how you figure those things out, by playing these things or putting the defense in that bad situation to figure out, okay, if they're put in this situation, I run this play. Are the people who need to be in conflict for this play to work going to be in conflict? So you kind of set them up for failure by doing this, but you do this for a very good reason, because Deshaun needs to know, what's the regular rhythm going to be like this? Hey, when I have this personnel package and I get this look, maybe if that's not Marquise Goodwin, he doesn't throw that because he knows that Marquise can explode and get to that pylon before Martin Emerson can. So I'm going to just throw that if that's him every time. But if that was, I don't know who if that was Donovan Peoples-Jones in the slot, maybe you don't throw that because he doesn't have that same type of speed. Right? So maybe this looks different with different personnel. This is what they talk about when they say, hey, we're getting chemistry. This is what they're talking about when they're like, hey, we're trying to build timing and everything else like that. This is what that means. You're trying to figure out, when you put the defense in conflict, where do you go? Does this work the right way? This is what it's supposed to look like. This is how it's supposed to feel. This is what we want to do. This is what OTAs are for, right? During training camp, you will get some moments where they're legitimately just trying to beat each other on both sides of the ball. But in OTAs and mini camps, for the most part, unless they're like doing a whistle drill where they're just like all out, we're trying to win the day type stuff at the end of the day, most of the 7-on-7 stuff you see is because the offense and the defense, they're trying to see different things. And in OTAs, where most of the stuff you can work is really on the 7-on-7 side on offense, then a lot of this stuff is like, hey, we're going to put the defense in this situation to see if this beats that. And that's kind of what happens. So that's why, like, during OTAs, you'll see wide receivers look much better. Your quarterback should look pretty good during OTAs, and Deshaun has looked pretty good during OTAs. These things should happen because they're designed to be like that. That's what the work's supposed to look like. We have seen that work not look good, right? When we're in OTAs and we're talking about a bunch of interceptions being thrown, that's a problem. Right? That's a little bit of a problem, because like, these are not plays that are designed to get beat in that way. But the fact that we're just hearing regular football stuff, nobody's throwing a ton of interceptions, at least on the first team, and that they're able to move smoothly here, there's no reason to panic on either side of the ball, because you're just trying to install some stuff. This is what install looks like sometimes, right? So that's my thoughts on today's video. I might have to rename it. I was going to name this winners and losers of OTAs, and maybe this is more of a breakdown on how to actually get the most out of the OTA clips that you see, so you're not gleaming the wrong thing from a certain clip, or panicking about something that doesn't need to be panicked about because that clip is not showing a problem that you think is showing, because of how the practice was actually designed itself. So I don't know what I'm gonna name this video, but by the time you see it, it will certainly be named something. Y'all have a great day. Have a good night.